If you've watched any of the solo sessions on my channel, pretty much with any system, you've seen me use and refer to probably this chart, the General Oracles chart, and maybe also this chart, How Far Away is a Thing. Both of these come from Scarlet Heroes, which is a PDF that I bought years ago and I have been using for more than just those charts, but certainly those charts regularly. This is the physical copy of the book that the designer provided to me. This is a combination, it's a hybrid really. There is its own role-playing game here with its own rules of character creation and its own world, which is the world of the Red Tide. And we will be, for this demonstration video, going into the world and creating our own character that way. However, it is also I don't want to say manual, almost amounts to a booklet of resources for the solo gamer, including opportunities to have tables and rules for urban, wilderness, and dungeon adventures, as well as some of the general oracles. And we'll definitely be getting into that too. The purpose of this video is both to work with Scarlet Heroes and also demonstrate how in one book, in one product, you can have a springboard for your solo work and your solo adventuring. And I know that I've gotten comments on many of my other videos. Most of the videos that I do are hybrids, and here I'll have to say up front, I'm probably going to end up bringing in some other things too. I'm going to try to limit it, but it's just the way that I work, because there isn't one resource, even this, that is going to, for what I'm interested in doing, have absolutely everything. Although this is a resource that you could simply buy and work solo with just this. And I have had comments sort of across the channel asking for something that is a little more self-contained, because especially if you're just starting out, you may not have access to all these random things that I have from over the years, or that I'm pulling in from over the years. This is one of the great ways to start out, because you can do it self-contained, as mostly I'll demonstrate here, although, as I have to say a little bit disclaimer at the beginning that probably ultimately some other things are going to come in. For this video, in looking over this again, I decided that I wanted to do two things. I wanted to have a little setup in an urban setting, because that, first of all, is not usually what I do. And recently I've done a bunch of wilderness stuff because, as I said, that's not usually what I do. Usually it's the more traditional dungeon, whether it's actually a dungeon or some interior space. I'm going to be getting to that. But what struck me here is that I wanted to have an urban setting, and I want also to play a non-magical user. Usually I'm playing some type of magic user. For a variety of reasons, I just decided I didn't want to do that. And I've talked about this in my solo RPG tutorial session or series of videos, that sometimes when I'm starting out, I will think about the structure of what I want to do as either scenes or chapters in a way in a very short story. I am not campaign oriented in my solo RPGing. I think that it's great if you can be. I don't have either the attention span perhaps or the desire. It's really more the desire, because my attention span can be pretty long, but it's more the desire to just stick with one rule set and character session after session. I will retain the information about my character. So for example, the Warhammer Quest little video that I did, I've saved all that stuff, and I will go back and play with that character again in the future, but I can't really consider that to be a campaign. So basically, I'm not doing that. But what I do like to do is to have a goal that represents something sort of larger and a change within the session that I'm doing. So it's not quite just a one-off, but it is definitely not a campaign. And in this case, what I wanted to do was to use the rules to go from some urban setting to some dungeon. May not be a literal dungeon, so I'm going to put it in quotes. It may just be an interior space. I'm not sure, perhaps we'll be in a city and we'll get to a basement or a contained space or a warehouse. I don't know. I don't even know so much the larger environment or how much I'm going to get into that. The other thing I have decided, and this was just a feeling I got, was that I want to play a fighter. I'm going to have a lone character here, and I want it to be combat centric. I don't want to use magic. I'm not focusing on that. There will be, certainly, because I'm going to be drawing mostly from Scarlet Heroes, or hopefully solely from Scarlet Heroes, treasures and magical items and things of that nature. So there's magic in the world, but I am not a magic user. And really, when I'm starting out here, that's all I know. All I know is I'm going to focus on Scarlet Heroes with a fighter who's starting out in some kind of urban environment and moving to some type of dungeon or interior. And with that, we can get started. To get your values for your 6 stats, you take 4d6 and roll them and discard the lowest value and come up with a number and then assign them. So I'm going to do all my rolls on camera, so you can see them, but you can certainly skip ahead if you don't want to see all the rolling. So here I've rolled, well, that was a good roll. I've got here a 16, and I'll just note down the numbers and then I'll do the assignment of them after the fact. So I got a 16 to start. That's pretty good. And we're going to discard that. Wow, 12. That's well, I should do more of this. Maybe this is going to be the video that will make up for the poor rolling that I did on the last video, which some of you may have seen. That's a 17. Okay. Just noting these off to the side. And that was 3 rolls. And this is pretty good. I'm glad I'm doing this on camera because, well, it's good. All right, 9. 13, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one, get rid of the 2, 6 and 5, 11. All right, so here are the stats that, or the values that we came up with, and we're going to assign them. Now again, we are going to be a fighter. Our overall hit points is going to be the value of our baseline plus whatever constitution modifier we have, and we can refer here in the book to the modifier chart, the attribute modifier chart. So we'll give this a look here to see. Obviously our highest value is a 16 to 17. This is going to be a +2 modifier. 13 is going to be a +1. I mean, this was some great rolling. And the only one with no modifier is the 11. So let's take another look here. I think we're going to go with, we're going to give ourselves a, we're going to go with the 16 value on strength with a +2 modifier. And we were going to go with the 17 value on constitution with a +2 modifier, giving ourselves the initial hit points of 10. We will go with, I think we're going to go with 11 on charisma, and we will go with the dexterity of 15. Even though we're a dwarf, I think we're going to be dexterous there. And we will go with wisdom. We'll take the 13 there, which is also +1, and intelligence will also go with that. Well, not +13, but +1. I've made myself a dwarf because I've got this, you've seen this guy before, as you know. I don't have a ton of minis. I like this guy, and he's just been still sitting on my desk from something else. So this is going to be my dwarf fighter, and we're starting out at level 1. We're going to assign ourselves some money and get some stuff next. All right, I'm going to get 3d6 times 10 amount of gold to spend. So we are going to get, we got a 14 here. We're going to get 140 gold to spend, and I'm going to keep track of this over here as well, our expenditures. And I'll take a look and see what I want to buy. One of the things that I skipped over in the character creation was the assignment of traits to my character, and I will go back to that, but I have decided that his profession is going to be that of an architect. This was something mentioned as a possibility for dwarves in the Scarlet Heroes, and it stood out for me because it's not typically something that you hear. And it's also given me the idea for something about the structure of this, which I said I wanted to go from urban to dungeon. So my story is that my dwarven fighter is actually also an architect. He's carrying a book and a map and has been either hired, probably hired or requested somehow to travel through a city to find an area of a crumbling building. I don't yet know what kind or what type, and to go into that building somehow and solve a problem, fix a problem, something that an architect would need to do, assess something, I'm not really sure. Because as we know, he's pretty smart, and he will be able to solve problems in that manner. As such, I have given him, he's got the axe because this fellow has an axe. This guy's carrying a shield. I didn't actually want to use a shield for this character because I didn't like the shield rules. So he's got some chain armor. He is carrying the aforementioned book. He's got some artisan tools. He also has an iron spike, a crowbar, and that map. And now I'm going to assign him some dwarven characteristics or traits, and I think that will conclude this portion of his creation. Oh yeah, he doesn't have a name yet. I got to do that too. I have named my character Agoth the Stoneknower, or Agoth Stoneknower. As mentioned, he is a builder, an architect, something along those lines. His traits are he has the dwarven senses of new places, so he will get some bonus on investigation or something along those lines. He is an architect. He also has analysis of structures for a bonus of 2, and this again will be related to something in a structural environment, I won't say man-made, but we'll say a creature-made environment out of nature somehow. And he's also unusually vigilant, for one. So he is a scanner of the environment. He is an observer, something along those lines. Those were the traits that I gave him. What we're doing next, following the general outline as mentioned here in the urban setting, is we're going to go within, well, actually, let me step back for a moment. The one thing right now that I need to do outside of Scarlet Heroes is to give my character a trinket. For the trinkets, I'm once again going back to the player's handbook. I don't have any other trinket tables right now, and I'm sure there are many such resources out there. If anybody has a favorite trinket table resource, please let me know so I can pick it up, because I'd like to be rolling on something else. But as it is, I'm going to roll this D100 table. I got a 34, and a 34 on this trinket table is a rectangular metal device with 2 tiny metal cups on one end that throws sparks when wet. So we've got some sort of mechanical device. I guess that makes sense for us as an architect. What I am additionally doing for this video is I'm bringing out my who, what, where, when, why, how die, and I'm going to roll it up, and whatever value I get is going to be also assigned to this trinket, and I got a where. So what this means is this mechanical device has something to do with a location, either where I'm traveling to, where I've come from, something along those lines. I don't know how it's going to emerge in the narrative, but I'm going to note it all down and move ahead. Back to Scarlet Heroes now. I'll point you toward the Creating Adventures on page 92 and following of Scarlet Heroes to get some general thoughts on creating adventures for yourself or for yourself and a player or two. But we're going to move to the adventure tags page, and we will be rolling on, you could do this completely randomly, choosing whether you're in urban, wilderness, or dungeon, but we've already decided we're going with urban, so we will be rolling here a d20 first of all to get the general adventure tags, and let's give this a roll and see what we get. We got a 14, a sinister religion. Okay, so we'll look up sinister religion here, and remember, this is an urban environment, and it is giving us a general description. The site is home to a dubious religious faith. These believers are rarely overtly evil in their rites or creed, but they believe or do something that is highly problematic for the hero, while not being the sort of zealots that can be readily slaughtered for their acts. The enemies are a traditional elder or persuasive priest, a spirit worshipped as a god, a mage turned high priest of an esoteric faith. The friends are a rival priest, etc., cult members. There are the things, or a slowly corrupting relic, a book of divine scripture. Well, we're holding a book too. Repository of generations of offerings, tribute to bribe local officials. Complications, the religion is vital to local prosperity, quite benign on the inside, get much worse unless the hero intervenes somehow, and it is universal among the local elite. And the places are a shrine. These are, again, suggestions, obviously, an ancient traditional temple, a hidden fane in the wilderness, or a secret urban meeting house. Okay, so a couple of points here. First of all, as for the quote-unquote religion part per se, I'm going to change this a little bit because even in a completely made-up thing, I'm not really comfortable having my story be about fighting someone's religion because I don't believe in that. So I'm going to somehow change this a little bit, but this is the suggestion here, and I said I was going to go as much as possible with Scarlet Heroes, so I will. Based on these suggestions of enemies, friends, things, complications, and places, I'm going to take some time and create my own little situation here in the urban environment and again, going back to Scarlet Heroes, map out where I am and what we're doing. Again, sticking with the suggestions from the Scarlet Heroes, we're going to turn to this urban adventure scenes page and just roll some d10s and see what we get for the suggestion of investigation, conflict, and action. And it obviously will be up to us as to whether we use this or not. And I will just choose these 3 d10s and read them in alphabetical order based on color, and we'll give them all a roll in here. So we've got black, orange, yellow. Investigation. Ambush a dangerous actor who holds a clue. Face a fight instead of a check. Conflict. Intimidate or put social pressure on an associate of the foe. And the action, convince an actor ally of the foe to betray them. On a failure, face a fight. Working with this, working with what I got earlier, I'm going to piece together our first part of the story. I need to get situated here, and to do that, I am going outside of Scarlet Heroes to a wonderful little supplement I picked up a while ago called the Gardens of Yin, I guess you pronounce it, by Emmy Allen. And I'm going to roll on this D20 table locations here. I'm just going to be using the top portion of it to see, generally speaking, where we are, and then I'll show you how that fits into our story. We are at 8, which is the hothouses. These are glass buildings that house tropical plants. Now the window panes are cracked and broken, and the plants within either died off in the unsympathetic climate or are overgrowing the place. And it explains how to draw a map and what to put in this location, and I'm certainly going to do that. Additionally, however, I have decided, based on what we've already picked up, that this area is going to be the site of a shrine to the evil priest of this religion or cult, and what the mechanisms of this cult are to define progress in society as the destruction of what is old. They are against the ancient buildings, against the existing history and physical artifacts of the history, and it is a destructive force. And as this architect, as this builder, as this creator, I am going to be fighting against that destruction and attempting to put a stop to it, basically. That is the larger mission here. So we're going to set up in this hothouse, and we will be building the map, and there's actually directions here about how to build the map, so we'll do that. We'll place the shrine, and then we will determine who is guarding the shrine and what their attitudes and motivations are to us, and to do that we'll go back to Scarlet Heroes. Agoth Stoneknower felt the metal device in his satchel vibrate as he approached the broken glass buildings. His hand tightened its grip on his trusty axe as his eyes wandered over the broken structure. Shards of glass and metal pushed to the sky. Clusters of tightly enmeshed rods of metal formed small plant-like objects. Beyond, he could see servitor constructs taking their repetitive path back and forth before the shrine. They had the suggestion of free will, but Agoth was too smart to be taken in. The metal device in his satchel continued to hum. The first thing I want to do is examine these monstrous poisonous plants and see if I am able to negotiate my way around them without actually encountering them, because what I'm interested in is dealing with these constructs that are walking back and forth and trying to interact with them. So what I'm going to do is a skill check here using my intelligence with my benefit of my visually vigilant, and that's going to give me a +2 bonus. And I'll tell you that the difficulty chart, I've modified the difficulty chart in Scarlet Heroes a little bit. So this is the difficulty chart that I'm using. I have added in something here as a 12, which is sort of hard, because I felt like going from average to hard was too much. And I'm also using my more or less standard idea taken from many other people that a ±1 is going to give me either a yes or a no, but. So slight complication there potentially. So we're going to do our 2d8 roll, and oh, that was a good roll. So what we're getting with our +2 modifier here is a 15, and that is definitely a success over, I didn't actually specify, but I was going to characterize this as hard, and that is a well over hard. So we are going to be successfully negotiating our way around these clusters of metal and just oozing oil that is definitely poisonous, and we are coming upon these constructs that are wandering back and forth, and I'm going to say that there are probably, I'm not sure how much this matters, but we're going to say there's 1d4 number of constructs. So there's actually just one construct here wandering back and forth. We're going to take a look at it and see if we can interact with it. I'd like to know something about how it is going to be feeling about us, and we can go to Scarlet Heroes for that. Let me find the page. All right, that's on page 79. We've got a chart here that is the attitude toward the hero, and it's a 2d8 roll, so we will roll that up and see what the attitude of this servitor is toward us. We rolled up a 10 on that, and it says the usual, but they might parlay if that seems plausible. Interesting. So we recall that we are ideally attempting to win over someone toward our side to get them to help us, as opposed to be in competition with us or fight them. And let's see, what can we do at this point? I guess I'm going to go to this oracle, and again, the language here doesn't work completely. I probably would go outside of Scarlet Heroes, but I want to stick to that. So I'm going to ask, is it, can we interact with them? Can we ask them for help? Is it, I'm going to have to go with it's likely, because that said they might parlay. So I would really change this to, as opposed to a likely, a maybe, but let's stick with this language. So we're asking, is it likely that they're going to help us? And we'll be rolling on that. This is a d20 roll, and let's see what we get. We got a 9. So the answer is yes, but. Yes, but. And now we can go to the, again, sticking with this rule set, we can roll up a d6 to see what the but is related to. So let's give that a roll and see what happens here, too. An adjustment to the physical environment. Okay, this is telling us that we approach this construct, we are trying to interact with it in a more or less civil way. This is telling us that as we approach this metal construct that is continuing its path back and forth in front of the shrine, this metal device that is in our satchel that has been humming and vibrating ever since we've come into this area really starts to activate, and we feel it coming to life, and there is some kind of interaction between that device and the construct, that all of a sudden there is a connection between the two of them. We reach into the satchel, we take out this device, and it has these metal cups that will create sparks when wet, and the metal cups and this metal construct seem drawn to each other as if it's a magnetic field between the two of them, and they become locked together, and we are powerless to do anything. And when this happens, all around us, the weather begins to change. The environment begins to change from what it had been to something else. And let's find out, what is the something else? We're going to go to the weather chart, which I don't use so much, so I don't have it handy. It's on the back of this. Again, this is also from Scarlet Heroes. And, well, are we in the wet season or dry season? I'm going to say we're in the wet season because, you know, why not? This is a 2d4 roll, and let's see what's happening environmentally above the broken glass of this hothouse. We rolled an 8. There is a blinding deluge of water coming down, and as the water comes down, things began to rust and corrode and corrupt, and everything around us, including this construct, becomes frozen by the changing nature of the metal that they are made out of. And as this happens, we look around us, and the shrine itself becomes transformed. I'm going to leave my hero there for this video and simply say that one of the things that Scarlet Heroes offers, among many, is that it's so comprehensive in yet such a relatively small package, that as you could see, I ended up developing into an almost not steampunky, but the whole tenor of the interaction and the feel of this changed from the beginning, when it was kind of like a straight fantasy thing with this little dwarf guy that I picked up, into this mechanized environment that seems, as I said, almost steampunky or something along those lines. And when I continue on with this off camera, that's definitely going to be the direction that it's going in. And all this came from the suggestions that were within Scarlet Heroes. And I think it offers a flexibility of a system that way, if you let yourself kind of go with the flow of it and let it take you in certain directions. And the combination of the specific rules and also the many, many oracles and charts that give you interactions and flavor and sort of response indications of the NPCs, like broadly speaking, that is very helpful as a structure, but also an open-ended structure. I open here just to there's a quick NPC creation page in terms of things like traits, family situations, their most powerful motivations. You could roll on all of these things at any time to give the background to an encounter that you're having. And this is helpful in creating stories that aren't simply about fighting. And in this video so far, of course, we have had no direct combat per se. And that, I think, is very helpful. I skipped over, as I mentioned, I think earlier when I was doing this urban adventure plots and crimes chart, because this was a little too specific for me, but I'm showing it again here because I want to illustrate that Scarlet Heroes also does have rather specific charts. So if you're looking for something that's going to give you even more structure, you can find that here. And if you're not, you could stick with the open-ended nature of it. And as mentioned earlier, they do have these charts for wilderness as well as, of course, the dungeon adventures. And the beginning of each section shows you some suggestions for specific rules to deal with that kind of section. So overall, I think Scarlet Heroes, it's really an all-in-one package, especially for the soloist, and especially if you are not wanting to invest in a zillion different materials. This does offer in one package quite a bit.